Dynamic is dynamic, and you are either dynamic or you are not. And sometimes when you're dynamic, you don't even need technique. A dynamic person is going to shine no matter where they go. They're going to draw attention and awareness, and they're going to grab it. The question is, what do you do with it once you have it?
I used to chase the ROI all the time, return on investment. And over the course of time, that has evolved into what I call return on life. Welcome everyone. This is Randy Dyck here on another edition of Return on Life podcast, where it's not about the ROI, even though we love ROI, but it's really about getting something out of life, more than just money. We got to live a life. We got to have experiences. And today I've got an amazing guest, Mr. Buck Wise, which has experienced a lot about life. He's traveled in circles that probably you and I haven't. And so he's seen it all from both sides, upside down, right side up. And so I'm excited to have Buck. Buck's been, boy, in some pretty large organizations like iHeart for 15 years, Grant Cardone, Mr. Ryan Serhant as well.
That's right.
You're asked, like, who don't you know? Who don't you know? Buck?
A lot. I still need to connect with the world, man. A lot of people. So great. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, Randy.
Yeah. And I should also say that Buck's been helping me out with some of my world as well on branding and all things, and just been an amazing conduit of information and helping me build brands. So thank you for that, Buck.
You got it. Absolutely. And you're born with the natural ability to communicate. So really all we're doing is taking the magic that is Randy, packaging it and putting some intention and organization behind it. And you're natural. So I always love working with naturals. There are some people, Randy, believe it or not, that aren't natural communicators and they cannot tell stories online. So I do not say anybody can do this. Not everybody can do this.
You're too kind. You're too kind. But I think communication is a direct reflection of our bank accounts. And that is so important to be a good communicator. And if you're not, you can. It's not just nature. You can nurture that as well. You must have met a lot of people that that struggled a little bit, but they fought through some of that on communication. How important is communication? And is it like communication of voice, eyes, social? Where's the most important key to making communication work?
Yeah, the biggest misconception I think most entrepreneurs face is how to communicate online versus how they communicate in real life, because it's very different. And what works in person, it doesn't always work online. And that's the hard part. And nobody knows the science or organization when they start creating, when they take a phone and they make content. They have to learn that time is money and speed to impact is so important online. So there's something called pleasantries. And when we're raised by good mothers, they give us manners. And when we meet people, we say, "Hi, how are you? Randy, where are you from?" "Oh, Canada." "Wow, how's the weather up there?" "That's fantastic," right? And those are amazing skills. That's why real estate agents are great at what they do, because they know those pleasantries. Those don't work online. Those are the number one killers of content. People are trying to create their personal brand. They want to attract more attention, get more leads. And the challenge is when you use pleasantries in digital formats, you lose people. You've got less than 2 seconds. And this is the sentence, if you're taking notes early in Randy's podcast and you want that return on life, this is the note you need to take. Consumers are selfish. How do I know that? I'm a consumer and I'm selfish. When I'm scrolling, I don't got time for your pleasantries. What's in it for me is what the consumer says. What do I get? Because I only have a brief moment in between this podcast with Randy and moving into my next meeting. I've got like 2 minutes. So I'm going to blaze through this really quickly and go, what am I going to learn? How are you going to inspire me? What are you going to do to motivate me and get to the point faster? So I think in communication, back to your original point, Randy, it really is learning the art of communication in different formats. Doesn't work on another. What works in this podcast doesn't work on Instagram stories. What works on your podcast may not work in a reel or a TikTok. And so it's just knowing the functions, the algorithms, all the intricacies, the technical techniques that you should be using in the way that you communicate. But ultimately, Dynamic is dynamic, and you are either dynamic or you are not. And sometimes when you're dynamic, you don't even need technique. A dynamic person is going to shine no matter where they go. They're going to draw attention and awareness, and they're going to grab it. The question is, what do you do with it once you have it?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So let's just back up a little bit, talk about
Mhm.
your time 15, 20 years ago, because you've traveled through a lot of different stages. You've experienced a lot of different things. You've got return on life today that you maybe didn't have in the past.
Mhm.
What were some of those stepping stones and steps that you took to get where
Yeah.
you are today?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Early on, I learned the art of creation. I
Mm.
was 17 years old and I would do anything to get on one of these microphones and talk to an audience in traditional FM radio. And so I kicked the door in of iHeartRadio, not to date myself, but anybody listening might remember iHeart originally was called Clear Channel. There's still a Clear Channel division called Clear Channel Outdoor, but they were bought by the Mays brothers, and that's when they shipped it to iHeart. But that's when I started, 17 years old, and I really learned in my radio days how to tell a story dynamically
Hmm.
and how to get a behavior from that story, how to drive an emotion. This was a great mentor and program director of mine who said, Buck, when you open that mic and you start to speak, your job is to make them laugh, make them cry, or punch them in the eye. Which one are you going to do every time you speak? And so it really is just what that means is drive an emotion and do it authentically in a way that doesn't feel forced. And so that was early in my career, learning how to communicate in a way that captures those audiences and drive a behavior with them.
So how did you learn that? I mean, at 17, like where did you go to school? Like this isn't something
Yeah,
you go to school for. So how did you just
no,
step into that role and go, okay, I got this, or did you not have
yeah. Yeah, there are radio schools, but the truth is they're like any schools, in my opinion. The people who teach are the ones who don't do usually in those schools, right? If they did, they'd have a job in radio, not teaching at some school, right? Some trade school. So while they teach you technical things in school, there's nothing like just being thrown into the real world. So what they do is they give you middle of the night air shifts. So, I'm 18 years old. They're like, are you ready to go on in the middle of the night? We're going to give you an hour at 2 o'clock in the morning. They call that safety harbor hour because in the US, the FCC doesn't regulate you as heavily. So if you mess up in the middle of the night, no one's listening anyway. So there's no harm, no foul. So, there was me at 2 o'clock in the morning. My own mother wouldn't listen, Randy. It was that late at night. They were like, hey, good luck on the radio. I will be asleep. So you go on and you practice, you rehearse like anything. It's muscle memory. You go on. I remember the first time I went on the air. Randy, my hands, I couldn't touch the board. My hands were doing this and I was sliding the button up. And I'm like, even though it's the middle of the night, I think there's like 200,000 people working overnight shifts or getting off from a shift and they're listening to me. And, I had to learn the art. And I remember my first break ever, Randy, I said, hey, everybody. My name is DJ Buck, and I'm going to be with you tonight. And then the song started singing. They call that crashing the post. So then I talked over the intro of a Janet Jackson song, and I was like, oh man, forget this. I'm so bad at this. I couldn't get the timing right. I was under pressure to finish speaking before Jackson started singing. And I said, hey, everybody. My program director said, nobody listens to the radio in a group. Everybody's listening in a car or by themselves or in their headphones. And so he said, you're really talking to one individual. So you learn in these air check sessions how to speak to the individual consumer. So what's something that he did that I'll never forget, Randy, and this applies to anybody creating content today, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook, something that he taught me was, hey, our demographic is a female, 1834. Didn't you say you had a sister that was 22? I said, I do. He said, okay, bring in a picture of your sister. So I did.
Hmm.
He tapes it to the microphone right here. And he says, every time you speak, pretend you're walking into her room and you're having a conversation. Now, if you walked in her room and said to my sister, Jenny, hey, everybody, how are you today? My name is DJ Buck. What would she say if you went in her room and said that. Well, she would call the police. She'd think I went insane because I just called her everybody. And so it's changing the mindset from many to one. And knowing that as you're creating content, content is truly consumed individually. And that's where you craft those intricacies of knowing how to make a pure connection, making feel somebody like Randy's talking to me. He's not talking to, hey, everybody, like I'm on a stage. You're not on a stage. You're intimately in the hand of one individual. And you want them to feel that connection. The same way I was intimately in the ear in radio of one listener. And I wanted them to feel like we were in a conversation, even though they couldn't speak to me. And you knew you were good at your job, Randy, when you meet someone and they say this. It just feels like I know you. It just feels like I know you. And that means I did my job. That means that I was capable of making a connection with them.
What a great takeaway that is. What a great hack is to, whether it's social media or radio or whatever it is always about the individual and speaking into that one soul, that one, one person. Really, really appreciate that. When you're on radio, did you actually feel the vibration or the frequency? We're talking radio, so of course frequency, but did you feel the listeners on the other end, or the listener, I should say?
Yeah, the easy way to do that back in those days, Randy, and there's a great association here, was something called a telephone. And people could call in. And so you had this board with little lights, and every line was a light. So they'd call one number, but you could have at least 10 people call at one time. Most boards 10 to 12, sometimes 15 lines. You could never take more. You'd hear the busy signal if you were 16 or 17, you couldn't get through, right? Yeah. So you'd hear that busy line. And so that was your litmus test. That was you'd say something and the lights would either light up or they wouldn't. And there were times where you'd say something and be like, what do you think? Headphones off. Okay. Hello. Yeah, can I request a song? Oof. Yeah, sure. What do you want? Like, they're not listening. You didn't connect. You're just like, oh, this was bad. No call. And then you sound bad because anybody listening, you asked a question and you didn't record an answer and you had no interaction. That, by the way, in radio is when you call your mom, your sister, your best friend, you go, hey, can you pretend that you're a listener and so that's called sparking the conversation. Sometimes you couldn't get someone to start it, but if you get someone to plug, if you plug them in and you get them to say, well, I disagree, I think blah, 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 then everybody calls in. You got to get somebody to spark it. But that was always the test of like, is this working or is this not working? And, you do that enough, Randy. I did it for 15 years. And you get this muscle memory of just learning like what's going to catch and what's not. I think too many people, they pick up this phone to create an Instagram or a reel or a TikTok or whatever it is, and they go, I got the best idea. This is going to be so good. Boom. And they do it. And then they're like, just my mom commented and my old coworker, but that's it. And they're like, I give up. This doesn't work, and they just give up too quick. You got to do this until you have muscle memory.
Yes, but doubt and fear fill most people's minds. And so, that is always there. First of all, doubting if they should even be doing this and fear what may happen. How do you overcome that when it comes to branding, social media? How do you overcome fear and doubt as an individual?
There's a couple of things. Number one, most of your fear is based in other people. So number one, self-awareness, recognize where is the fear coming from? Fear never comes from the consumer, because if the consumer was actually going to purchase your product or service, you'd be excited, not fearful, to do it. Yeah. Fear comes in people who are not your clients or customers. It's the ex-boyfriend. It's your relatives. It's your cousin who's going to go, oh, what, Randy, you think you're an influencer now because you're on Instagram talking about how successful you are. Oh, that's so cool. So at Thanksgiving dinner, you don't want to hear your family make fun of you for getting on Instagram and trying to create a personal brand and a profile, right? Too many people are caught up in the inner circle that isn't going to promote their future or their success. So that's number one. Recognize, why are you afraid? Now, Some people say, Buck, I have a very supportive inner circle. I get people that say that. They go, Buck, I got no haters. I got a lot, people would be glad to see me do this. I'm legitimately afraid. And I'll go back to this point. If you have a fear of creating content and you're looking at this as the public, as a large group, then you're already in the wrong mindset. Remember what I said. This is one individual. This is just Randy. Am I afraid to talk to Randy right now? No. He's not nervous to talk to me, and I'm not nervous to talk to him. So when I pick this up, and by the way, Randy is a client, full disclosure. Randy is also my avatar. He is a business owner who is successful, needs more time in his day, and wants to get amazing results. And he has to trust somebody to take his content and create better output with it, right? So he's 100% my guy. So when I do content, I'm just talking to Randy. That's it. So who are you just talking to? It removes the fear immediately, because the problem is everybody picks this up and goes, ooh, there's 1,000 people watching. First of all, there's not 1,000 because your account isn't that big, okay? It's a small sample size and you're really only talking to that one person. So stay focused.
Stay focused, yeah.
Just talk to that person. Yeah. You'll get over your fear. The other thing I'll say, Randy, just one more tip. 98% of the people I meet can swim in water. It takes over 81 mechanics to keep your body afloat in water. You were a baby. You learned how to blow bubbles, hold your breath, kick your feet, move your arms, move water out of the way, swim up, hold your breath, let bubbles out. You learned all these mechanics, right? You've done it so much that today I ask most people, are you afraid to jump in a pool? Are you afraid to jump in the deep end even? And they go, no. Okay. The same way you're not afraid to jump in the deep end, you wouldn't be afraid to make content if you did it often. Number one, people that tell me I'm afraid, I say it's because you don't do it. If you did, talk to me in a year. It would be a question of the past. You wouldn't even consider it.
Yeah. Yeah, really, everything in life is about doing the muscle memory thing and just doing it over and over again. And eventually you build something that's bulletproof because you have taken enough bullets already. You know how to handle them, and it's bulletproof.
Yeah.
Absolutely bulletproof, yeah. Crucible moments. Along all those years, you've probably had some moments where, gosh, it's pretty challenging. Should I do this? Should I not? What has allowed you to push through and then find the whatever on the other side?
Yeah, on the other side of what? To ask me again, Randy?
Well, there's been challenging moments, I'm sure, in your life. My life's got tons of these moments, and yet they come, and adversity comes and hits us head on. Do we turn and face adversity and run into it, or do we run away from it? By the way, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the buffalo and the cow look a lot alike. And when adversity comes, the cow runs away from adversity, hoping it doesn't catch up to them like a storm, where the buffalo actually runs into adversity and says, I got this. I'm going to hit this thing head on. I'm just going to assume that this is Buck's profile, that you actually say, bring on adversity and run into it. How has that helped you in life? And
I've always said there's never been a fear that I haven't faced where I came out better on the other side. And I say that very carefully, because just facing a fear doesn't mean you get the result you hope for. Okay, I'm not saying face a fear, you'll get what you want. But I've never faced a fear and not had my life improve on the other side. One way or the other, there's always an improvement. Some people will say there's no such thing as failure, only learning, right? You have a learning lesson in all failure. So, I honestly, I studied with the great Uncle G, Grant Cardone. I was 3 years, I was a chief marketing officer at his business management company. And, he really taught me the 10X mindset while I was there. And a lot of that mindset is focused around not only facing fear, but looking for it. Forget facing it. How about go find it? How about if you don't have fear, you're doing something wrong anyway? You got to find in your life opportunities to stretch you and add pressure so that you can burst through what your current version of yourself and get to a higher level. The only way to do that is to do it scared.
Absolutely, absolutely. I say self-induced vulnerability brings out my greatest gifts. Like when you put yourself in those vulnerable situations, your greatest gifts come out because they just have to. Like you're in desperation mode, you're in vulnerability mode. So that's where your greatest gift comes.
Yeah, I totally agree. 100%.
Yeah. Um, let's talk a little bit more about social media.
Yeah,
There's
sure.
there's baking and cooking, which are both done in a kitchen. Cooking, you can kind of play with it and add this and taste it. No, it needs a little bit more salt or garlic or this or that, and you can adjust it as it goes along. Where baking, basically, you put everything into the pot or the pan and put it in the oven and you hope for the best. Um, is social media more baking or more cooking?
Yeah, good question. I always like to say change the tire while the wheel moves.
Mm,
So I don't want anyone to overinvest in either side. I want you to be strategic, but also create. I call it fail fast. Some people say get it wrong to get it right. But
mhm,
ultimately, I have a very simple approach to better campaigns, better content creation, better results. Number one, data. Information feeds strategy.
mm,
Data feeds your strategy. If you don't have data, you just have strategy. That's called an idea. An idea is only as good as the data that feeds it. So the strategy has to be based and rooted in information. The strategy is how you create. Strategy is how you get creative and start to make content. Too many entrepreneurs, by no fault of their own, it's the most fun part of social is getting to tell a story, make a video, clip on a mic, do the lights. It's like, yeah, let's make something. It's like, well, hold on. What are you making? And who are you? And why are you different? And how do you want them to feel? And how do you capture their attention? And who are they? And what is their biggest chat? Like, they're not asking enough questions, most entrepreneurs. They're just going, I saw a funniest reel, and I'm going to make a reel because it was popular. So now I'm going to make the same reel, and it's going to be popular. And so that's called the shotgun strategy. And that's what most entrepreneurs are doing. They're just going, let me try, let me try.
yeah.
And it's really about organization. And
Mm.
so I want you to spend due diligence creating research as much as possible. Researching truly who you are and who the consumer is so that you can have a fair strategy and so that your strategy can create.
Awesome. If you could back up time, so you could take everything that you understand and know, and we can actually put this into two parts, life and business. So social media has
Yeah.
been your shtick here lately. And you can go back 10 years of what you know now. What would you do differently, or would you do anything differently? And it's always changing.
Yeah, it's such a good question. Mentorship.
Hmm.
Somebody that has done it and could speed the process up for me. I have success in business. I've built and sold 3 agencies. I just know what I know now. Had I found mentors earlier, I found the best mentors of my life in my 30s. God, my 20s, I was so egotistical. I thought I knew it all. I was on the radio, Randy. Everybody knew me. I was so popular. I was so good, and so many people loved me. They would come to me and tell me, oh, you're so good. You know what I'm saying? I don't need anybody. God, I wish I had got mentors in my 20s. I would have just, had multi-million-dollar companies so much faster. And that's what I would do differently. And so that's always my point with entrepreneurs that are creating content is, yeah, sure, you probably can do well on your own. You're a smart person. But when you want to hitch up with somebody that's got all the intricate details that you don't know, so we can just speed the process up a little bit more, so that we can have just a little, an ounce of more success every day, turns out to compound to be a lot more success at the end of the year. And that goes back to my vision of long-term versus short-term. Content creation really is a long-term personal brand investment, and it's every single day just getting a little bit better, making a little bit better content, a little bit better connection, But you know, if I had mentorship early on, I just know I would have had more success. So I say, whatever it is, finances, marketing, content creation, whatever it is, get with experts faster, get with experts now.
Yeah. You mentioned long-term, thinking long-term. What is long-term in social media?
Long-term investment in your personal brand,
Mhm.
you know,
Is that
they
1, 3, 5 years, 10? Like what is long-term?
I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been online since the first platform signed on. I show up consistently every day, multiple times a day across multiple platforms. It's called equity. And the more you give, the more you can take. So it's a relative number. It's a scaling number, Randy.
Mhm.
The more you give, the more you can take. So how much can you give in a year? That's how much you'll take in a year. How
Mm.
much can you give in 5? You'll take that much more if you give in 5. You know, but I always tell people that come to me fresh and they go, Buck, I have a successful brand, I have a successful company. Nobody knows who I am. I don't go online. I wish I did. I just built this thing the old school way. I used the yellow pages. You know, I knocked on doors and I was shaking hands at the local club and I went golfing with buddies and you know, and you can do that. And it was easier to do that then. But I like working smarter, not harder. I think you should do both. I think you should still have, I call it digital to physical. You should still have physical, but I like to scale faster. But they always ask me, they always come to me because they're business people. Randy, I know you know this. Business people are analyzers. They're always looking for an ROI. So the question is always, all right, so when should I expect to blow up and become a superstar? And I always say, well, number one, you are authentically you. So a
Mhm.
lot of people come to me, they want to emulate, oh, you worked with Grant. I want to be Grant. You will never be Grant. You will never be Ryan Serhant. Those are dynamic individuals who have a very special set of skills, but so are you. And my job is to extract that and display it in a way online that magnetizes the right people to you. Now, some people have to learn the hard way. Their personality doesn't magnetize the same people
Yeah.
or at the speed in which they wish, you know, because it's a craft. You have to continue to craft and learn the communication element of who you are and how to display that online.
Mhm.
So, um, you know, I always say this though, minimum 6 months investment just to feel the effect, just to really feel like, okay, this is different than where I was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you're just testing, really. You're just kind of playing with new concepts and ideas, and you're getting comfortable in your own skin half the time. You're just going, I could have done that so much better. And you know, it's like football teams. They sit around, they watch tape. And they go, look, you could have moved here and cut shorter to the right. If we're not examining our ability to do that and do it better, you're missing the opportunity for improvement and optimization. And so I'm constantly looking. I mean, I'm still 25 years into this, Randy. I'm looking at, I created a reel literally this morning. So there's a new stat. I don't know when anybody is going to be watching this podcast, but here we are in May of 2024. They made a new announcement today. Instagram says, the number one subject you should use when creating one of these, a carousel. You don't know. So a carousel is one of those slideshows where you slide through an Instagram, 1, 2, 3, 4. The number one subject, Instagram says, not motivation, not inspiration, not humor, not even jokes. It's education. People want to learn.
We do.
And so slide 1, what are you teaching me? Slide 2, why are you credible? Slide 3, what can I do? What value can give me to apply this to my life? Instagram is saying that is the number one subject on Instagram.
And this is why it is. This is my version of it. It is all about building trust, and people want to build trust, whether it's the football players watching tape and saying, you know, I'll trust you to play your position. You let me play my position. I'll trust you. Like everything in life is about trust. And we have a trust meter built into us, whether it's relationships, our decisions, whether I trust somebody on Instagram or Facebook or wherever it is. It's all about building that level of trust, which you so eloquently shared how important that is.
So true, man.
And so,
So
yeah,
true.
the beauty of being online is that you can build trust not one at a time, but thousands or hundreds of thousands at a time. That's the beauty of what we do on social.
The other thing people ask me is, Buck, what is marketing? What is marketing? It's back to your point, Randy. It's just trust. Everybody, Buck, what's the algorithm? Should I do a podcast? But how long do I go live? Do I go live from question, analyzing? Trust. It's just trust. If the CEO of Instagram says, stop with the hacking of the algorithm, guys, good content, good trusting content always wins. Always wins. Trust. Just be you and go tell your story. Stop with it is good. Look, hire us to do the intricacies. Just be you. Just go and be you, because guess what? People like you.
How much better is it better to have more raw material, uncut, unedited, or more edited? What's best?
This is the $1 million question. There's a guy named Alex Hormozi. Are you familiar with Hormozi?
Mm-hmm.
He's famous for creating a high polish social content.
Right.
Ding, shoom, flash. Whoo. It's called the Hormozi style. And it worked. He created this, what we call high polished content, because it captured attention in a sea of mundane. Hi, my name is Buck. Today I'm going to teach you three. Hi, boing. My name is Buck. Boom, 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 boom. Shoo, 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 shoo. It was capturing attention faster. Hormozi came out last month and goes, I think there's a shift. I think we're going back to quiet, raw, organic content, unpolished. Just, hi, I'm Randy. Let me teach you three things. Now, proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding. Works for him. Does it work for Randy? Maybe not. Everybody always says, Buck, what's the answer? I'm a data marketer, Randy. My answers are pretty simple. My answers are, what's the data say? One time somebody bought a custom pair of shoes and they embroidered the side of the shoe. What's the data say? That was my answer to every question they asked me. Hey, Buck, should I do this or this? What's the data say? Right? Yes, I have 25 years of experience. I have a lot of digital marketing experience. I can give you an answer based on the past, based on what I've seen work or not work. This would be my best assumption based on data. Now, that data may not be your data, or that data may be outdated data, but that's the data I have. So based on my data, that's my best assumption. You should do this, not this. But the real answer is A/B tested, and let's see which one is right or wrong. Because just because everybody's working with this doesn't mean yours will. You have a different audience, you have a different product, you live in a different area, you have a different service. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
So the data speaks, but there's this thing called power of proximity, which in the real world, outside of social, is very, very powerful, being in the right rooms, the right people. How does that work on social? Can you be in the right social at the right time?
Yeah.
Does that exist?
Social at its core, and this is a pet peeve of mine. Don't get me started, Randy. You're going to put me down a dark rabbit hole. Social today in 2024 has become sort of passive in nature. People are just, remember the 2-second rule. People are just boring, bored, like. People are just moving so fast. But the word social is about connection. And you're supposed to get online and connect with other people, but so many people are just one-sided. They're just, they're either consuming content or they're creating content, and nobody's connecting. So I have a rule. If you follow me on Instagram, which by the way is about Buck, if you're this far into the podcast, let's see, congratulations. If you're this far in the podcast, you've passed the average time that most people spend in podcasts, which is 17 minutes. So that means you're a power user, or Randy and I are really interesting to you. So if you've made it past 17 minutes, you're a power podcast user. So my Instagram is about Buck. My rule is this: when you follow me, 99% of the time, now Randy, don't hold me to this because some days I'm busy, but I try my hardest. I will reply with a video. Hey, Randy, I just noticed you followed me. Here's the truth. One, I'm honored that you would follow me. Number two, I'm a data marketer and I'm always interested. When did you find this account? Was it a trending reel? Did you watch Randy's podcast and he told you to follow me? I'm just curious where you're coming from. Now, the reason I ask a question, Randy, is because people, the consumer, did we write this down? The consumer is selfish. They like you asking them questions because it's about them, not
Yes.
about you, right? And so I always ask the question, where did you find me? And you know what they do? They always answer. They always answer. That's called connection. So power of proximity, to get to your question, absolutely. Social is the ability to connect faster across longer distances with people that you ultimately would never have the opportunity to connect with. I have friends in social that I trust more than my family. I'm not kidding. I got people that I'll tell secrets of my personal life that I've never met in real life, but I feel like we're best friends. You know, I really do. I have really great digital relationships with people that honestly I'm probably closer to than some cousins that are blood related to me. You know, so it's all in how you leverage the platform.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's get a little bit more personal. Let's stay away from social a bit, but and get a bit more personal. Who is Buck in the uninterrupted, in the quiet? What do you do just to like chill out and relax? Who is Buck? Who is really
I get this question. It makes me uncomfortable, Randy, because I like business so much. I sound like an ass a little bit. That I'm like, you know, this is a philosophy that I learned from Grant. My friends are people I do business with. I get people occasionally go, "You're a really cool guy. We should hang out sometime. We should go to coffee." Thank you. I don't go just have coffees with random people. My goals are so big, Randy. If we're having coffee, it's because I'm helping you get there, or you're helping me get there. One of us is helping the other one get to the goal. I just don't go have coffees because I don't like to emote how I feel today. Oh, I feel great, and life is this. No, like I'm just like, you know, I would say the only like real downtime, Randy, is my kids. Like I play football with the kids. I take them to the batting cage. I just did daddy-daughter dance. I took my daughter to a dance and I had to learn this whole routine with her. It was highly embarrassing, but the things that dad does for the love of a daughter, and she really is the only one that has absolute power and control over me. Um, and so my downtime is, and my purpose in life, yes, helping other individuals, but my purpose in life really is my kids and showing them anything is possible and they can do whatever they want to do.
right on? Well, your business isn't called closing day because you don't close.
That's right. And I'm teaching my kids to do it. My son has a dog walking business and he sells artwork and lemonade stands occasionally. He last quarter, I think, did about $2,300 more than some people make on a basic teacher salary. My kid is my 10-year-old Logan is an entrepreneur. And I love, you know, getting him in that, hey, I can create value in a product or service and sell to other people. Once you realize that it really comes down to sales, no matter what you love, no matter what your passion is, if you can, the art of communication and selling, you can do anything you want to do, anywhere you want to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And how does your why fit into that? What is your why that would fit into that?
She is an impeccable mother. There's no question that I have no abilities that she does on the parental scale. She is unbelievable. She's a full-time mommy Uber on one side, and then she has a real estate business on the other side, and she's got a team of 42 around 12 states. You know, she's worked very closely with Elena Cardone for the last few years, and she loves real estate. And so, you know, we're in a real estate family, man. We love real estate. It's so great.
Well, real estate's such a powerful engine because it's, you know, one of the necessities of life: food, shelter, clothing, and
Yeah.
everything is revolving around real estate and of course sales. So we tie
Yeah.
those two together, and the dynamics of that is just pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
Do you have a principle that you live by on a daily basis? Is there something that you just, I have to do this every day?
Yeah, a few. It's interesting. I just had a call with a new employee where I went over principles because it's important when they're working with our clients that they understand my concepts and principles.
Mhm.
When we go a layer above marketing, cultural principles. Number one, attitude. It's going to go right. It's going to go wrong. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is attitude.
Yeah.
Because attitude feeds your thoughts. Your thoughts feed the way you speak. And the way you speak feeds your actions.
Mhm.
So if you can't control your attitude, your actions will show it. I have no space in my life, personally or professionally, for bad attitudes. So that's number one. Number two, accountability. People say, Buck, you worked for the master of sales, Grant Cardone, for 3 years. You must have learned so much. Yes, but the biggest misconception, my number one learning lesson, accountability. He taught me, no matter what happens in your life, it's your fault. Yeah, but the car rear-ended me. You shouldn't have been there.
Mhm.
Like, he was so strict on it. There's no room, there's no breathing room for accountability.
Yeah.
You have the ability to manifest and control the outcome. And you either put the time, effort, and intention to control it, or you didn't.
Yeah.
You either learned from it and did it again, or you didn't. I would say those are some foundation, attitude and accountability, the 2 A's. If you can master those, really, I believe you can master anything. Because it all comes down to those interpersonal skills first. And I know you're great at that, Randy. I've talked to you for years now, and there isn't a time I get on a call, even when things are good or things are bad, your attitude is always spot on. I mean, this is why I surround myself with high performers like you.
Extreme ownership.
Yeah,
Just own it. Own it.
a great book. I love that book.
Yeah. In leading your team, is there a leadership model that you live by, or you just
Yeah.
what is that?
21 irrefutable laws of business. First of all, John Maxwell, Reverend John Maxwell, is one of my absolute favorite authors, favorite leadership coaches. Law of magnetization is the first one. You are what you eat. Output equals input. So if you're attracting bad talent, back to accountability. You got something going on.
Yeah.
Okay. If you got bad hires in your organization, that is on you. You're a, Buck, but I just can't get them to do anything. Yeah, because you don't know how to get them to do anything, or you're attracting the wrong talent. So my leadership style is very much focused on, if I don't know how to do it, I can't expect them to. Too many leaders hire people to solve problems. That's how you fail. Yeah, well, they did it for 5 years. I thought they knew what they were doing. They came in, they screwed up my books. They got my account hacked. They did this, and oh my God, these employees, right? Okay.
Yeah.
If you didn't put a process in place, an example of excellence first, you can't expect people to come into your organization and do better than you did. Law of the lid, if you know Maxwell.
Yes.
Here's your leadership ability. You will never attract someone higher than your ability. They will always be under your ability. So why would you expect them to do better than you could? Why would you expect them to know business better than you? It is technically impossible. The universe will not allow you to attract higher talent than you. Once you put that perspective in place, even if they're great, man, I had an interview yesterday with a BYU student who, honestly, Randy, I could say, like, I'm pretty sure education-wise, she's way wicked smarter than me. But she's never run a business. She doesn't know a P&L like I have. She hasn't had the same emergencies with a business that I have. She's never gone through COVID and learned how to do a reverse retention when the books start to melt.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many contextual experiences that I've had that she doesn't have. So no matter how smart, no matter how book smart she is, law of the lid, I've got to train her into a process of excellence.
Yeah.
And so I think leadership has to set the tone for what that is. And that's usually the biggest mistake is we go, I'm so busy, just hire that person and tell them to do it. You do it. And now I can go focus on this. No, you can't. You can't do that.
Yeah, and I think we want to, move people up the ladder and put them in places to give us either return on life or whatever, but there's some positions you just can't. One of those
Yeah.
positions you can never pay somebody to build is culture. Only culture will be built through you, the business owner. Nobody can build culture for you other than
Yeah, I totally agree.
so that is
Totally
really,
agree.
really important. Return on life. How does that work in your world? What are you doing to create more return on life for Buck and your family?
Yeah, great question, Randy. The way that I create more return on life is connection,
Hmm.
because there is always an exchange of value when you connect.
Mhm.
And so staying focused on what can you give to someone else will give you 10x back. So my return on life is what can I give? Today, Gary Vee's new book came out. Let's see, I was just listening to it. I haven't quite memorized the title. Hold on, you're gonna love it. Let's see. So this is his follow-up book, and it's called Day Trading Attention. Day Trading Attention. It just came out. I'm listening to it on Audible. And he really talks about people's ability to face their fear, create, and connect. And the more we connect, the more we grow. No big business, no big goal has ever been met without the support of other people. Too many people think, I'm going to build this business and I don't need other people. And I hate employees. I don't want, I'm just going to do this. You are by yourself. Randy is capped. By myself, I need Randy to grow. And I don't mean Randy as a client. I mean Randy's network. I mean Randy's connections. Randy needs my connections. We both need trust with each other, and we need to grow outwardly like this. The more people you get, the bigger you get, the more you can obtain that goal and serve your purpose. And so I think that's the return on life, is not being transactional, being relational, and finding other people, celebrate, finding other people. It's exciting. Finding other people that help you reach those goals and you helping those people reach the goals.
Hmm. Hey, you've been around a couple billionaires in your life. What
Yes.
is a takeaway from a billionaire or two that you've been in their inner circle, so to speak?
Yeah, great question. Number one of my favorite billionaires is Glenn Sanford, EXP CEO. He sat right here in this office, right here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And he and I had a conversation about his personal brand. And here I am, okay, a billionaire, not a billionaire, private jet, no private jet, right? Like here I am in the room, somebody highly successful. And what is he doing while I'm talking? Taking notes. He's taking notes and he's asking me questions. I met the CEO of Fairway Mortgage, another billion-dollar company in the US. And I spoke at one of his events in Chicago, and I got done. He goes, Buck, look at my iPad, 6 pages of notes. These are billionaires. They don't need to take notes from me. Inquisitive mindset. Billionaires have an inquisitive mindset. They never assume they know. God, what a skill. Back to what would I do if I could go back in time in my 20s? If I was more inquisitive, if I just didn't act like I knew everything. So how can we wake up today and say, I don't know, teach me. I don't know, teach. God, that's so hard for people. Our egos just want to feel so important. We've been doing this so long. We know it all. What else can I learn today? Constant quest for information. That's the number one trait. There's a lot of traits that I've learned from billionaires in the past, but that's the number one, inquisitive in nature. Number two, your schedule. Their schedules are jam-packed. An empty calendar is the devil, is what Grant used to say.
Yeah.
An empty calendar is the devil. So jam-pack your day. And that goes back to connection. The calendar really is the organization of your connection. Think about that. It's the tool that helps you work, because connection, hey, let's just go out, let's just go meet people, let's just go to the party, go to the happy hour, go to the, like, you just randomly, no, organize the connection. Who do I meet? How long do I meet them? What's the intention of the meeting? What am I doing to help them? What are they doing to connect me? Get organized. So every billionaire has someone they've hired who helps them organize their day. Time is money. Every billionaire knows that, that's why they buy private jets. I've been in many dinners where one billionaire talks to a multimillionaire about buying a jet. And they say, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no financial advisor that is going to tell you it's a great decision. It's the worst decision financially you can make. But the reason they do it, the reason I've heard 3 or 4 billionaires say they buy private jets, they're time machines. The ROI is never there financially, but in connection they are. So for instance, Grant and I did a city tour where we went to, I think it was St. Louis, Houston, and Denver in one day. Show me you could do that commercially in one day. 3 cities, 3 audiences, hundreds of people in 3 cities, 10 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., 3 cities, boom, boom, boom. And millions of dollars in connections, right? It's a time machine. Now, it costs $10,000 on average to get from 0 altitude to 10,000 altitude. That's 10K, because you're burning fuel. 10K just to get to 10,000. Then you coast a little while. So, on average, any private jet trip is 10 to 15 to 20. Go to New York from Scottsdale, $70,000, $80,000, $70,000. There's no ROI. They're just cutting time. That's all they're doing.
There's no ROI, but there's return on life.
That's right.
There is return on life.
That's right. That's right.
And they have figured out that with private plane, private jet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The smartest multi-millionaires I found, and this is how I would probably do it. Listen, if I got stupid money, I'll get a jet. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but multi-millionaires, they ride share the jet, they co-share the jet. There's 6 millionaires. You don't need a jet every day. We're not going so let Randy have it one day. I'll take it next week. When he gets back from BC, the pilot will bring it to Scottsdale. I'll go out to New York. That's how I see most successful millionaires do it. And then there is an ROI.
Okay, let's do it. We'll split that plane.
The goal is set. The goal is set.
Yes. Hey, let's finish off with a little bit of a speed round here.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do this. So fine dining, Uber Eats, takeout, or home cooked meal.
Monday through Friday, Uber Eats.
Okay.
Friday through Sunday, fine dining. Steak, potatoes, shrimp. Put the shrimp on the steak, lather it in butter. I want the full roll with a little bit of garlic on top. I want the whole experience. Friday, Saturday. Meal prep.
When's cheat day?
Friday, Saturday, I'm cheating. Friday, Saturday. Yeah, okay. Monday through Friday, I'm actually doing meal prep. I eat chicken breast. That's it. Just protein. That's all I'm doing. Very consistent. Very consistent. The less decisions you have to make, the faster you can move. I don't think about what I'm going to eat. I have chicken breast every day during the week.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, less decisions makes for a lot more work to be accomplished.
Yes.
What do you do to let your hair down? What's Buck do on a day off?
I just picked up golf. I was a golfer in high school. I was pretty good in high school, and then I let it go. And so I'm a little nervous to get back on the course. So I got a whole new set of clubs, and I got to hit the driving range, Randy. I'm before I go out and whack slicing balls all over the place, I'm gonna go hit the driving range and just kind of warm it back up. I assume it's like riding a bike, only I'm a little older, so maybe I'm more sore when I'm done. I don't know.
Okay. Being that you were Mr. iHeart, is there a band that you met that you went, these guys are the bomb? Not because of their music, but because they're just cool dudes.
Yeah, I would say growing up in Tampa, Florida, a lot of people don't realize this. You're in the mecca of boy bands. 1997, I was on the radio in Tampa, Florida. Tampa's connected by a little road called I-4 that goes from Orlando to Tampa. That was O-Town, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. They all came out of that Orlando camp. So these boys, when I was 1997, they didn't know how to get their song on the radio.
Ah.
Randy, 8 o'clock at night, we're sitting in the studio. Can you guys play this? Please just play it with Backstreet Boys. We're not gonna Tampa, Florida. They were like, and we were like, Kevin, AJ, hey, nice to meet you guys. Yeah, sure, we'll play it one time, you know. And eventually, obviously the record company, the label, they get you to spin it, and you start doing concerts. And there was the Britney Spears effect. And so, you know, I met all those guys. Justin Timberlake is here in Phoenix tonight. He's performing. I've interviewed all of them. I've met all of them. You know, that was the mecca of pop radio, and you know, just a great experience. And then obviously I met multiple times your protege, your Canadian protege, Justin Bieber, was a massive star here in the States. And so I've met him many times as well. And you know, all good people, all great people.
Awesome. Awesome. Text, phone call, in person, or DM? What do you prefer?
I tell my mom, don't text me, DM me. I answer my DMs way faster than I answer texts.
That's interesting.
And video DMs.
Yeah, video is big.
Yeah.
Audio or book?
Audio all day. My attention span's better if I listen.
Okay, cool.
Theater of the mind is what they say.
Yes, yes. Last question. If you were a scratch and sniff sticker, if you're a scratch and sniff sticker and I rubbed your shoulder, what would I have the joy of smelling? What's the aroma?
Depends if you ask my kids. They would say stinky protein toots, probably. But I'm gonna say mahogany with a leather-bound book and a hint of espresso.
I love that. That's got some nice notes to it.
Yeah.
Nice notes.
Man, it was so good talking to you today, Randy. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Right on, Buck. Great interview. Thank you so much. And anything you want to share with us, your Instagram?
Yeah, sure. I would say this, don't be passive. Send me if you've made it all the way through this podcast, a free coaching session from me if you made it to the end, okay? Don't give them a tip on this one. Leave it hidden at the end. Okay. A free coaching session with me, but you have to DM me a video introducing yourself at About Buck on Instagram.
Love it.
I'll talk to you on IG.
Okay. Thanks, Buck.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it, brother.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, see you, Randy. Bye-bye.